Britain's worst behaved kids are now all grown up, and while some managed to turn their fortunes around, others spiraled into lives of crime and tragedy. Anti-social behavior orders, or ASBOs, introduced 25 years ago became a badge of honor that turned young hoodlums into serial offenders, critics say. Sir Tony Blair's new Labour government, under then Home Secretary David Blunkett, introduced ASBOs in 1998, lasting until being scrapped by David Cameron's coalition administration in 2014. They were civil rather than criminal orders which could bar anyone over 10 from specific behavior such as vandalism, drunkenness, and intimidation, with the risk of being jailed or put under a parenting order for any breaches. Here, The Sun Online takes a look at some of the country's most notorious ASBO kids and how they turned out as adults. Danny and Ricky Oakley. Danny Oakley and his brother Ricky were labeled the demons from hell while notching up 40 arrests, wreaking havoc across their Park Village estate in Wolverhampton. One of the two terror preteens, dubbed the Asbros, has today told The Sun how he was only encouraged to commit further offences. The feral Oakley brothers became in 2006 the youngest to receive ASBOs, aged just 10 at the time. Their havoc included hurling knives, setting off fires and slashing tires as well as a spree of burglaries and robberies. Danny has now spoken of his regrets, but also insists being slapped with an ASBO only fueled his offending. The 29-year-old, who now suffers from emotionally unstable personality disorder, told The Sun he and others should have been jailed instead. Danny previously revealed to The Sun how hiding his homosexuality helped turn him towards offending, but hopes has since become a source of hope online for LGBT and youngsters from similar council estate backgrounds. He said today, "What did an ASBO get me other than notoriety? It's just a badge of honor and gets you even more into the criminal mindset thinking, I'm the man of the area. But instead, the harsher the punishment, the less likely you'll keep at it. I think it was prison instead that learned me a lesson in life, even if it is a very fine line, as people can become institutionalized." I read Keir Starmer saying he'll be bringing back ASBOs. If you've already terrorized 70 of your neighbors, what deterrent is that? They'll just go into the next street. That's how good areas become bad. When I was a kid we did have youth clubs, more policing, but now there's nothing for people to do. The system is so tightly squeezed. I can understand why young people turn to crime. A National Audit Office report in 2006 suggested 55% of people given ASBOs did not comply with its conditions, while 1/5 breached them more than 5 times. Danny left home at 15 and went on to study at Walsall College, doing a Level 1 GNVQ in Business Studies, though was last in the dock only this month, convicted of assaulting a prison officer. Danny says he only lashed out on fearing being taken to hospital when forcibly strapped to an ambulance bed after falling in the street, and was discharged by a judge without being sent to jail. He also revealed he and Ricky seldom speak these days, describing his brother as doing his own thing. But he hopes his online presence, including a Facebook account with more than 5,000 followers, can prove encouraging as youngsters wary of coming out to their families share their experiences. Danny added, 20 years on. I can help other people now, at least I want to give something back to the community. I'm infamous, I'm well known for very negative stories. I want to become well known for positive stories. Former Conservative MP Anne Widdecombe, who was Shadow Home Secretary facing Mr. Blunkett during ASBO's early years, told The Sun, ASBOs were a very good idea but they were never followed through properly. People actually used them as a badge of honor, even boasting I've got 6, well, you should never have been given a second ASBO. There seemed to be a lack of will to follow up with tougher action. That's why it's often the case now that when you get yobbish behavior, if a householder goes out to confront someone they're the one who gets arrested instead. Too often there was this helpless attitude of, there's nothing we can do, well, of course there is. Joseph McCann. One young crim turned out to become one of the country's most notorious sex offenders. Joseph McKinn was jailed for life in 2019 after a 2-week cocaine and vodka-fueled rampage in which he kidnapped victims at knife point, held them prisoner and carried out rapes and sexual assaults. He previously spearheaded a gang of brothers causing chaos across their now demolished Beswick estate in Manchester, landing himself an ASBO aged just 14 in 1999, alongside siblings Sean, 16, and 13-year-old Michael. A neighbor said, "They were a horrible family, absolutely vile scum of the earth." Council chiefs evicted the family after setting up a video camera in response to multiple complaints from neighbors, capturing the mob wrecking cars, tossing bricks, and vandalizing homes. Joseph McKinn went on to be jailed for 9 years in 2008 for aggravated burglary of an 85-year-old man in Bedford, then for 3.5 years in 2017 for another burglar. He then received 33 life sentences in December 2019 for his attacks on 11 victims aged between 11 and 71 in April and May that year, across Greater Manchester and London. His trial judge labelled him a classic psychopath, while a later report revealed he had been mistakenly freed from an earlier sentence by probation officials. His brother Sean had taken his own life in Peterborough Prison, aged 32, while doing 2 years for assault. Anthony Kennedy, another notorious ASBO kid, also garnered the nickname Red Boy. Anthony Kennedy was first cautioned aged 10 in the 1990s, when causing mayhem on Newcastle's Biker Wall estate, then was arrested 16 times between the ages of 11 and 13. His nickname came after being discovered by police when hiding in a ventilation shaft. Despite the ASBO, following offences such as burglary, theft, and driving offences, he was jailed for 4 years aged 17 for robbing a pensioner. More prison terms for burglary came when aged 20, 24, and 26, and he was jailed again in February 2018 for his 37th offence, as a 37-year-old. Kennedy had only just been released from his latest spell behind bars when he broke into a house in North Tyneside and smashed his way in through an 100-year-old glass panel in the front door. The intruder then left a trail of blood through the house after cutting himself on the shattered glass and swiped a £750 watch, £80 cash, and sentimental jewellery belonging to the homeowners. Kennedy was collared after CCTV identified him and DNA tests on the blood proved he had been in the house on September 21, 2017, which was locked and alarmed. Judge Robert Spragg jailed Kennedy for 3 years and 4 months, describing him as turning into a career burglar. Kennedy had claimed in 2007 to have turned his back on crime after finding love and religion. He insisted in an interview at the time, "I believe it's important to treat others how you would like to be treated yourself and to have respect for other people. When I was Red Boy, those were things I didn't care about. Red Boy is the person I used to be. The only names I want to be called now are Anthony and Dad. I've turned my back on crime and would never go back to that life. I've got too much to lose." Tyler and Jamin Williams. Only last week 2 thug brothers who got their first ASBOs aged 10 and 13 were jailed for hunting strangers with a machete. Tyler Williams, now 33, and Jamin Williams, 30, were locked for a total of 26 years after carrying out the attacks for fun and for sport. The duo, from Kent, have offended together for the past 20 years, with police first releasing mugshots of them in 2003. The brothers' mother today reacted angrily when asked about their ongoing reign of terror across Kent. Mother of 7 Janine Scamp, 51, told Mail Online, "I don't want to say anything about it. I don't want to talk to you." Alfie Hodgins. And last October a teenager was jailed for drug offences, having previously been one of the youngest people given an ASBO. Alfie Hodgins received his at the age of 10 in 2014 for terrorising the community in Liverpool, barring him from causing harassment, alarm, or distress to members of the public. But Hodgins, by then 18 and from Wirral in Liverpool, was jailed for 2.5 years last October after admitting possession with intent to supply heroin and crack cocaine.